So how do we fill in those four diagrams? I mean, I've talked about strengths and weaknesses, but how do you discover all those strengths and weaknesses? It can be quite hard sometimes to think around ourselves or whatever we're examining to be able to get those kinds of details, to extract them all, to be able to consider all the things that might be there. So one of the ways we do this is we use things like checklists. Okay, so because SWOT is quite a general purpose approach, when we're dealing with specific situations, we need to think about the specific things that apply. So if you think about yourself and your career, for example, then we might think about, well, what skills do you have? What are your attitudes? What's your reputation? What are your relationships like with other people? But you might not have thought about things like, what are your what about your appearance? Does that make a difference at work? It possibly shouldn't, but it probably does. So there are things that you want to be able to pick out. There are things you want to be reminded of, if you like, when you're writing your SWOT table. And what we rely on here normally are specialist acronyms. So if you're dealing with things like strategic, political things, then you might think about this acronym, PMESI. So what are the political, military, economic and social and all those sorts of aspects of a particular strategy or policy. If you're thinking about military things, if you're trying to examine a military force, you might think about these things. They're using the COWARD acronym to think about those different aspects and whether some of the parts of those are weaknesses or strengths, and what sort of things might be opportunities or threats that drop out, if you like, of these different aspects.